welcome to Blue Jays Today, where today, guys, man, the free agent frenzy is on. The Blue Jays feel like they're linked to virtually every big bat out there right now, but we got to break down and see which bats are our favorites and which bats are most likely going to be coming over to the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlock, and I do want to put this out here right now, everybody. Like, it's almost becoming a little bit much. I'm serious though.
Yeah.
It's becoming a little bit overwhelming right now because it just feels like, literally any name that you can think of, Toronto Blue Jays are talking to their representatives. Toronto Blue Jays are linked to them in some capacity. Some analyst of some kind is saying that the Toronto Blue Jays are showing strong interest in whoever, blank space, fill in the name as you will. And it's becoming a little bit much because we both know we're not gonna get all of these guys, right? And we'll be the first ones to admit, like, we know the Toronto Blue Jays are not going to get all of these players. So I just hope and I pray to God that Ross Atkins, you do not let us down, because after all of these rumors, after everything that's come out in the last 48 hours, the fan base is gonna be pissed off as hell if you do not bring in a few of these dudes.
Well, I think what you're seeing is a good example of, we're going to shoot for the moon and land amongst the stars.
Right.
We're going to shoot for every single player, and if they're going to miss a few because, like you're saying, there's no possible way they're going to sign all these guys.
Yeah.
But hey, if we sign a few of them, hey, we did our job. We got the guys that were willing to come over to the Toronto Blue Jays and play for us on the contracts that we offered. I think that's kind of what it is, right? Look, we need new faces in town. Bringing back some old faces feels like, if you're doing the same thing again, what do they say about insanity, right? It's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So bring in some new faces in that lineup, get a different look, see what happens, and that's exactly what you're seeing. And what that includes is potentially a new third baseman in the Toronto Blue Jays. We talked about him before, guys. It's Jeimer Candelario, and Blue Jays are actually being linked to him in a big way, and we're actually projected to actually land Jeimer Candelario. And if you guys remember, he's the third baseman. He was in Washington, got traded over to the Cubs. But apparently it looks like the Blue Jays, they have met up with Candelario's representatives at the GM meetings this past week, per Shai Davidi. And he had a good year last year. And of course, I think this makes sense. You have Matt Chapman. Maybe he could be leaving. Candelario, like we said, is the only other third base option that makes sense for the Blue Jays. What do you make of this, Nick?
Yeah, I think that this makes a lot of sense. So out of everything that we've heard up until this point, right, and we've heard everything, right? They're strongly linked to Ohtani, Bellinger's on the table, like Yamamoto, he could be in the mix.
Literally.
We've literally heard everything that you could think of. This one, to me, this rumor, whatever you want to call it, this rings closest to the truth, right? Closest to what could actually happen. I see the need. We all see the need. That third base bag right now is being manned by nobody, right?
Yeah.
Nobody. Yeah. You could have your rookies come up and do that, and that's just not a position that you want to be in if you are a contending ball club. So you got to bring in some type of outside help, whether it be through trade or free agency. If it's not going to be Matt Chapman, and we are going to get to Matt Chapman because there are still some rumblings going on with or associating Matt Chapman to the Toronto Blue Jays, but if it's not going to be him, then the next best thing through the free agency route is, in fact, Candelario. I am a little bit concerned about the ups and downs of his career, and you can comment on that. But I think that he would be a pretty good stopgap to allow the young kids to come in and to learn from him if he was to be the guy on the Toronto Blue Jays.
No, that's exactly right. And he's only projected right now by a lot of analysts to get a 2-year, $15 million contract, which, to be honest, is fantastic. I was expecting
2-year, 15?
15 million. I know.
Don't believe
I know,
that.
it's very low. I think he's going to land amongst the 15 per year kind of range. You could see a 2-year, 30 mil, but I'd actually like that because just like you said, Nick, you could see just the ups and downs of just his percentile rankings alone. You go back to 2019, way low. 2020 COVID year, pretty, heavy. Obviously it's all skewered in 2020. 2021, still looking good. 2022 falls off the table. 2023, he's back, right? And you look over at his stats here. We've looked at it before, but just to remind ourselves, 807 OPS, hit the most home runs in his career. But then last year, it looks like he played only 124 games, but maybe some injury in there, 633 OPS, then a 795. It's all over the place, right?
Right.
So for me, a 2-year deal makes a lot of sense for the Toronto Blue Jays because, like you said, you have young guys coming up. You maybe want to turn them over eventually to starting players.
Yeah.
And Candelario, it's too much risk to be locking down for 3-4 years. I'd feel really uncomfortable with a long deal. 3 years probably max for me. 4 years, too uncomfortable.
I don't even think that a 3-year is cool with me, man.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I do think that the strategy here needs to be we're getting somebody to play now.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
And next year your job might not even be secure, right? Like because we have those young guys coming up. That's what this is. This is a Band-Aid solution, you know. There is no big time third baseman free agents available, right? Like maybe this would be a different story if you had a I don't
Manny
know.
Machado or
sure,
something.
right,
Yeah.
like a Manny Machado. Maybe you can then make the argument where it's like, okay, well, we are going to sign him, and he is going to be the guy 4, 5, 6, 7 years on the Toronto Blue Jays. That is not the landscape right now on the free agency market. So if Candelario is okay with a 1-2 year deal, then I think absolutely you got to snatch him up. But I personally don't think for a single second that 2 years for $15 million is something that he's going to accept, because I know for sure there's going to be another team out there that's maybe not in the same competitive window as the Toronto Blue Jays, just looking for a third baseman to tide them over for a longer period of time. They are going to offer him a 3 or a 4 year deal, guaranteed. So if we do want to get him on a 2 year deal, it's going to need to be high average annual value, and $7.5 million, that's not going to cut it.
No, I hear what you're saying. So, you know, if we do miss out on Candelario, which obviously will be a reality, there's 29 other teams out there, folks. If we miss out on him, oh no, what are our options now? Well, you still got Matt Chapman, apparently, who's dancing around the rumors, and apparently the Blue Jays have remained a top priority is getting Matt Chapman back on the team, and strongly. There's a ton of tweets out there. We don't have all of them right here. We do have one by Ben Nicholson-Smith saying they remain absolutely interested in Matt Chapman on a multi-year deal. Now, when I said earlier, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. Is this a little bit insane that you would be bringing Matt Chapman again for multiple years?
Right.
What do you take out of that, man?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell we're thinking there, man. Like, and again, this is nothing against Matt Chapman as a human being in any capacity. I think Matt Chapman's a pretty cool guy, but I think I have seen him on the Toronto Blue Jays, and I am cool if that's it, you know? Like, I don't need Matt Chapman coming back and doing what he did with the Toronto Blue Jays again for a few more seasons. He had every opportunity to thrive on that squad, and he assuredly did, defensively speaking.
Yeah.
But what we saw one incredible month from him, and that was it. Basically, everything was below average from what he has done in his career up until that point, other than that 1 month. So I don't know what the hell we're doing here. I think maybe this is just we're keeping all of our options open in case we do miss out on Candelario, and in case we're incapable of making another trade or doing something, right? Like, you're not going to come out and say, well, fuck you, Matt Chapman, get off this team when you don't have somebody right now. You're probably still there. The multi-year deal thing, though, that is a big red flag for me.
Because when you hear multi, you think, obviously, more than one, obviously. But, like, could it be a 2? Could it be a 3? Could it be a 4? If I'm Matt Chapman, remember, Scott Boras is his agent. He's looking for, I think he's looking for 4 years.
Well, he's definitely not going to sign a 2-year deal.
Not a 2-year deal.
Not even in the slightest.
Which is unfortunate, because in a better sense, Candelario would actually fit perfectly for the Toronto Blue Jays trying to flip it over. If you bring back Matt Chapman, well, Matt Chapman's your dude. Like, now the possibility of trading away or Elvis Martinez or Barger become more likely.
Yeah, and I don't want that.
I don't want that.
I don't want that, and that's something that I want this Toronto Blue Jays front office and the management to realize. We cannot keep kicking the can down the road by trading away all these prospects and bringing in these guys, right? Because, I mean, eventually you're gonna have to pay the piper. You're gonna run into a time where all of the guys that you have traded your prospects for, they're old, they're injured, they're not performing the way that you wanted them to perform. They're not performing at the caliber to which you traded for them, right?
Yeah.
That could happen at any time. I mean, we're potentially watching with Dalton Varsho right now.
Bro, we traded for Matt Chapman, and what did we get? Yeah, we got great defense. He won a Gold Glove this year. You know, in 2 years he was here, he won 1 Gold Glove. Great job on the defense, but yeah, the offense isn't there. And that's the big problem for me. If he was just like serviceable offensively in a middle of the lineup kind of guy, driving in 80 and 90 to 100 RBIs, oh my God, yeah, please.
Okay, well, that's a little bit more than serviceable.
Oh yeah,
we'll take that.
Here's the thing: you get 15, 20 more base hits on the year for Matt Chapman. Like, maybe you touch 85 RBIs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but what's funny is Scott Boras came out today, and I wanted to bring this up. Scott Boras came out today and was saying that, like, oh, you know, Matt Chapman provides a lot of value for the Blue Jays, and they should basically want him back, is what he was saying. Basically saying he's very good, he's a very good offensive lineup, particularly with the home runs. Hard to come by at the ballpark for a very good offensive lineup. He's saying like, oh, my dude hits home runs. He gives you great Gold Glove defense. 25 home run power. It's very necessary to their success. My thing is, did you watch last year? I know he's hyping up his guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's hyping up his guy. But it's like, you're not fooling me, Scott Boras. We watched last year, and like, yeah, he popped a couple home runs here and there, but it's not the home run power, and it's not the consistency that I want out of my guys in the everyday lineup.
You shouldn't take this with anything more than a grain of salt. Scott Boras is not a baseball guy. He's a businessman.
Oh, of course.
That's what he is.
Of
right?
course.
He is just a businessman. He's gonna talk up his product. This is not even a human being. This is a product.
Literally.
Right? We are selling this product to the highest bidder. If you want it to be the Toronto Blue Jays, great. This is why you should buy it. But it's a load of garbage, right? We know it's garbage.
And everyone knows it's a load of garbage. So it's just like funny when your salesman's trying to sell you on something that you know very well. It's like, are you kidding me? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's garbage.
And again, Toronto Blue Jays, you should not be buying it, right? You really shouldn't be buying it. You know for sure what he is capable of doing with the baseball bat, and it just was not translating well at the Rogers Center. You have young guys waiting in the wings for their opportunity to come up and to deliver, and this is something that we haven't seen in a while, right? Like, name me the last, I guess Davis Schneider, you could argue Davis Schneider, but like, the last like top 5 big prospect that has come up on the Toronto Blue Jays and made an impact, like Manoah, right? And like that was years ago. Like it is now time to start to fill this lineup up with pieces that we have homegrown, with pieces that we have built on rookie contracts that we don't have to pay.
And you're seeing the window closing, right? 2 more years. It's 2 more years because it all kind of stems off of that Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Because you lose those guys and you have no one else to kind of replace that window, it's over for this offense.
Well, and let me tell you right now, right? If you were to lose, this is fantasy land, but it would be a complete hell. We're going to the depths of hell in this one here. But if, for instance, you did bring back Chapman, right? You have Chapman now, and he's your third baseman. You signed him to a 3-year deal, and then in some way you lose both Guerrero and Bichette. What is your team now? Now you need to fill those spots with your prospects who have not played in the major leagues for a period of time. If you are, filling in this one third baseman spot with, another prospect, and then you bring another one up, and you're kind of slowly mending that hole as it happens. So then even though, of course, losing one of those guys is going to be a big blow, it won't feel as big of a blow if, Orelvis Martinez hit 30 home runs last year, and, Addison Barger was, like, really good in the final 2 months, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, we lost him, but these guys are showing a lot of promise and and something that we can build on now.
Look at the Houston Astros when you had, Alvarez, he came up around when Springer was there and Correa was there. And then you had, Pena didn't debut yet, but he debuted right after, but he was ready to go in the minor leagues. And then you had Kyle Tucker. He just won a Silver Slugger just moments ago.
Yeah.
Guys that were like coming up while these guys were about to depart. And I need to see a bit of that. So having Matt Chapman there locked into an everyday role, you're going to have to pay him like it's the everyday role. So it's going to be a lot of politics there. So I don't feel comfortable with that. What I do think what's happening right now, because you have Matt Chapman going around the GM meetings, I think Boras is getting a feel of what kind of offers are out there because he hasn't yet accepted that qualifying offer for $20 million.
No, he's gonna wait it out and see what's up.
He's got to wait it out and see what's up, and that deadline's coming up I believe it's gonna be this Sunday or Monday.
It is.
Right? Because we offered on Monday, so he's gonna feel it out. What kind of offers are out there for me? And you had Jimmy Ballcap Sports saying, "Don't be surprised if you do see a qualifying offer." I think in that case, a qualifying offer, if we don't land Candelario, I don't want a multi-year for Matt Chapman. I guess a 1-year Matt Chapman wouldn't be the worst thing.
Look, if he did accept the qualifying offer, then I'm okay with it in the sense where now it gives you the flexibility. Like, you could bench him if you wanted.
Yeah.
Like, you could actually, right, if he was not performing and you just wanted him to be there to help kind of, bridge the gap over, well, you can have Orelvis Martinez come up. You can bench Matt Chapman. Who cares, man?
Yeah.
Who actually cares, right? Like, he agreed to the deal. He's going to be on this team. He's going to have to play his role. So, if that's the case, like, I guess good for the Toronto Blue Jays. It also opens up the door, too, to potentially trade him if, somehow, I don't know what scenario that needs to happen, but, like, maybe that's open, too. Again, like, I still don't want him to accept the qualifying offer. I would rather get the draft pick compensation. But I'm coming to terms with the fact that if it has to happen, then it has to happen.
We got to have somebody play third base for the Toronto Blue Jays this year. And we also got another position that we're looking for, and it's that Brandon Belt position, that first base kind of veteran MVP leadership kind of role. That's vacant, obviously, right now. And one guy, and I did not expect this at all, but his name's been tossed around all over the place, and that's Joey Votto. Potentially having a homecoming to Canada, Toronto Blue Jays.
Listen,
what?
Guys, listen.
Whoa.
I mean, I'm all about Joey Votto. I have the deepest respect for Joey Votto. Incredible baseball player. What he's done for baseball, what he's done for putting Canadians on the map as well. That's really cool for baseball. This ain't it though. This, you know what I mean? Like this ain't it. We gotta upgrade. That is the term that Ross Atkins has been using, is upgrade.
Yeah.
Do you feel that at this point in his career, Joey Votto would, in this case, be an upgrade over what Brandon Belt did last year?
Oh God, no. I mean, like, just OPS 747. I mean, the batting average is abysmal.
202.
It's 202. The on base is still there. Joey Votto is one of the greatest, plate appearance guys you've ever seen. He performs quality at bats. Yeah, he doesn't give him any hits anymore, but he has quality at bats in terms of he works counts, and he doesn't strike out a whole lot. So that's why his OPS is somewhat serviceable. I see, if it was a reality, he's got to be the bench Mark DeRosa from I don't know if you were watching around the time, 2012, 2011. Mark DeRosa came to the Toronto Blue Jays. Basically came off the bench as pinch hitter, but he was the veteran guy. We all know Mark DeRosa from the MLB network. He's just a very smart, intelligent, knows how to play the game right. I think it would be, if we sign him, that's his role, to come over, help out Spencer Horwitz, fill up the role there as a backup, DH, first baseman, help Vladdy, help a lot of the players just with their mindset on winning and performing day in and day out, giving great quality at-bats. But if I'm counting on him, hell no.
Right.
Hell no, I'm not counting on him to do anything. I mean, maybe he has a resurgence, but it'd be a cool story. It's a cooler story than the actual production you're going to get on the field.
Yeah, it's a cool story. I think from my standpoint, and maybe I'm wrong to say this, maybe this is disrespectful to say, considering this guy's had a Hall of Fame career. I'm at the point, though, wondering where it's like, would I rather give that roster spot to a prospect or give it to him?
Right.
That's where I'm. It's got nothing to do with the money. The money would be cheap as hell. He'd be on a 1-year deal. You don't have any risk. But I'm literally thinking to myself, like, would I rather that go to a player with upside or Joey Votto, who is not going to hit very well, is really just going to be a persona more than anything else?
Yeah, because you have 2 years of the window. How many years left do you have to bring in personas?
Right.
You know what I mean? Right? Maybe this is the final year. Maybe who knows, right? It's interesting. It's cool. But apparently Ross Atkins loves the idea of bringing over a Joey Votto.
Of course, Ross Atkins. Come on, man.
Full of praise for his hitting ability and character, like we know. Blue Jays done background work on Votto. He was a trade candidate over the years, and now have some interest in him as a free agent. So some interest. I think for the Blue Jays, all these rumors, you gotta dissect them a little bit. There's strong interest, a lot of interest. They have interest, and then some interest. This is the lower of the interest.
That's a goated comment right there from Buffalo Boy. That is a goated comment.
Buffalo right here.
All about that. Yeah. No, that does feel like a Toronto Blue Jay right there. I've never seen one, folks. But this is what I'm talking about by saying, like, it's almost getting out of hand, And I know you guys have been commenting as well and being like, guys, like, we're not gonna get all, I've heard this story before. I've seen this movie 1,000 times, right? Look, I'm in the same boat, dude. I'm on the same freaking, shaky Toronto Blue Jays roller coaster going on with all of you folks. And I have to sit here and I have to talk about it, and I'll be completely honest. Like, is Joey Votto going to come in and save the day?
No, he's not.
Hell no, dude. Go get him, but it better be a Joey Votto and.
Like you said in your minute monologue this week, it's 1 to 4 players. If we bring in quality at-bats like Cody Bellinger, we bring in Candelario, and then it's like Joey Votto. I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, kind of cool. You know what I mean?
1,000%,
We're winning this
dude.
shit.
1,000%, dude. it can't be Michael A. Taylor, Joey Votto, and Joe Blow, who we've never heard of. You know what I mean? Like
Chiroshella.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for real. I mean, sure. Yeah, if you did want to make that happen, but there is that caveat of like, okay, there's got to be these other dudes as well.
And here's the thing: Votto's not going off the board first. Just like you saw Brandon Belt, he went off the board in January. You're probably going to see the same thing from Votto. He's probably going to be like, okay, I'm going to see, am I going to wait out my offer? He's going to wait out his offer or retire.
It's a last-minute option. It's a last-minute option. I mean, like, it do be that, oh, shit, I'm drunk as hell at the bar. It's 3 a.m. All the good ones have been taken, and, like, we're stuck with what we're stuck with at that point, So Joey Votto's going to do it.
That's right, man. All right, moving on from Joey Votto, a guy that, honestly, out of every guy other than the final dude, because he's obviously, we'd want Ohtani. We're talking about him at the end. Spoiler. But of the realistic guys that we're talking about in this video that we've been linked to in the last day or two, this is the guy. It's Jorge Soler. The Toronto Blue Jays have expressed interest, and this is the other version of the interest, category. They have expressed interest in Jorge Soler, wanting to add a bat to put in the lineup alongside Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We've said it before. We've broken him down on videos. This guy is a great 4-hole hitter. He would stay there the entire year. You don't move him. He protects Guerrero. He has upside to hit 30, 40 home runs with OPSs in the mid-800s. Hell, his best year ever was 922 with a 48 home runs. I remember I picked him off free agency that year. That was crazy. He's the guy. And I'm glad that, like, we're seeing the connection is there. This is all we've heard, though.
Yeah.
We've heard speculation from fans, and this is our first kind of thing from Mike here, saying the Blue Jays actually might be interested in talking to him.
Well, listen, this is kind of why, and I've said it twice now in this show. I'll say it again. This is almost why it's becoming a little bit much, and I'm getting a little bit pissed off about hearing all of these rumors, because it means that the guys that I'm actually interested in as a Toronto Blue Jays fan, when you hear the rumor and when you hear that they're expressing interest, it's cheap. Now, because we're expressing interest in everybody, but I want this to be the guy that you are strongly invested in, talking to the representatives, really going after, right? I feel like it would mean that much more if all we'd heard in the past week was like Michael A. Taylor and Jorge Soler, right? If that's all we'd heard, then it'd be like, we're going after Jorge Soler, we're really making it happen. But because we've heard so much, it's hard for me to take this one super seriously, even though I know that this should be the person that they are taking the most seriously.
Yeah, and it's a strategy. We're casting a net. We're seeing who lands. Who do we get to grab? It's a strategy. We're desperate. We have a closing window. We have guys who are coming off the books in our lineup. Vlad and Bo. We got to do something about it.
Shout out quickly to Ben's pitching clip right there with the $5 dono. Shout out to everybody in the chat, by the way, folks. We got about 150 people watching. If you haven't already done so, please smash that like button. If you have any questions that you want us to go over, let us know. Ben's pitching clips here is saying that you guys remember Eric Fetty won Cy Young in the KBO this year. Interesting. And a free agent could be a really good cheap number 5 with Manoah rumors. Thoughts?
Interesting.
Dude, I'm all about the cheap number 5s. Like we're actually, I don't think we have any, like, well, we kind of do. Pitchers that we're going through in this video, but yeah, cheap 5s. I'm all about that because, again, I still believe in Alek Manoah.
Yeah.
Kind of. Like I'm hoping that it turns around, that the other shoe drops. But if not, I would like to have that Hyunjin Ryu there ready to save the day, or in this case, Eric.
You know what? And speaking of Alek Manoah, I actually watched a clip today. It's on YouTube. Some of you guys may have seen it. And it was Kevin Gausman being asked about Alek Manoah, being like, so do you think he's going to bounce back? Do you think he's going to be good again next year? And Kevin Gausman said, look, I got DFA'd in my career. I was on the worst team in baseball, and I was the worst pitcher. I was on the best team in baseball, and I was the best pitcher, the Giants. And it was like, okay, you know what? And like when he said I got DFA'd in my career, I was like, damn. Like, and he was a highly touted prospect too. Yeah. And so for me, it was like, oh, okay. It's been getting more in perspective. Like when we're in the season, we're seeing Alek Manoah fall, from such a height. Right, and then you zoom out a bit. You're like, this could just be a stumble in the career, a long career of Alek Manoah. Also, he did mention something interesting, not to get totally off topic, that Alek Manoah apparently his arm, and that's why he got the shots. His arm wasn't fully ready and healed up, but he was expected to be the guy,
right.
so he kind of rushed it. So then he said like that was a big factor. That's what Gausman brought his insight in. So anyways, get off topic. I think Alek Manoah should be fine. I don't really want too much competition unless it's like Yamamoto. You know what I mean?
Wow, if it's Yamamoto, like, sorry,
Alek.
Like, see ya,
yeah.
you know? Like,
or trade, like, Kikuchi or something.
Yeah,
you know
and we do
I mean?
actually have some questions in here about that, which we will get to closer to the end of the video. Shout out to Zeke, though, really quick, with the $279 donation there, saying, my fave is a Biggie Biggio. Who's your favorite? Blue Jays, it's Alejandro Kirk for me. And
I see.
It's tough to say for you.
It's tough because my favorites were Manoah and Vladdy.
Yeah, just disappointment.
I'm still gonna land on Guerrero because it's like I'm just angry at him, but we're still respecting.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. If this guy became a J, then this would immediately become everybody's favorite Toronto Blue Jay. We got to talk about Shohei Ohtani, everybody, and again. You know, this is one of those things where you got to take it with a grain of salt. You do, because especially with Shohei Ohtani, every single person is going to... I mean, you're going to have Japanese teams coming after this guy. Like, you have more than 30 teams looking at Shohei Ohtani saying that we want this dude. I wouldn't be surprised if the Toronto Maple Leafs are looking at Ohtani saying, wow, that guy's pretty big. Let's put him in goal because it's not working out right now.
I've seen so many funny things like, the Colts should be targeting Shohei Ohtani as quarterback.
Literally, bro. I mean, because he's just that talented, right? So everybody and their dog is going to be looking at him. The Toronto Blue Jays, they are going to be part of that as well. They're apparently looking to make a strong push for Ohtani. And this is what Adam was talking about earlier about, tiers of the Blue Jays language. You got expressed interest, you have strongly interested in, you got reached out. Now they're saying that they're going to make a strong push for Ohtani.
This is the big one.
So, I mean, take that as you will, everybody. I do think that the floodgates are going to open a little bit. The biggest question is, are the floodgates going to be enough when you're dealing with other squads like the Dodgers and the Giants and the Yankees and the Mets and you freaking name it?
I know. It comes down to where do you want to make your legacy. And that's the beautiful thing about being the best player of all time in baseball is you can decide what you want. Do you want to be known as a Dodger for the rest of your career? Do you want to be known as a Yankee? Those are iconic franchises, right? Or do you want to be known as a Toronto Blue Jay? See, that's the thing. That would shock, I think, so many baseball fans if he were to come over to Toronto. And I think that's why a lot of our own fans here are saying, guys, just give up. Stop talking about Ohtani. But we kind of have to, guys, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to talk about the best baseball player in the last century, potentially landing on your team. When you see something like this, don't just look it over and be like, oh, that's never going to happen. Look, we're going to push and we're going to try. We're going to take that as we will.
This is a gross mismanagement by the LA Angels to even allow this guy make it here right now. You know, the fact that he was never traded or never extended is truly like a heinous crime. And whomstever is responsible in any of that, you need to leave sports management and pursue another career because this should never happen. It should never happen, dude. You cannot have the Wayne Gretzky's or the Tom Brady's or the anybody's hit the free agency market. Just can't. You can't let that happen. Not in the prime of their career, at least.
I know. Did you see totally kind of on topic? Ohtani. He's going to donate $60,000.
I did see that. Yeah, I did see that. And
that's how you know he's getting paid.
Yeah. and I mean, that just goes to show, and everybody knew this already, but if you had any doubts, he is a phenomenal human being as well, right? You want to talk about a persona coming in, he brings it. Incredible pitcher, incredible hitter. You get an entirely new country along with it. The value that this guy provides is insane. And I will say this. The reason that this is not a complete 0% that he comes here is because he's not American. He did not grow up in, Missouri following whomever,
California,
or Cali, or Texas, or whatever. He didn't. He was in Japan, and he's already made the transition from one country to another. That happened. That was a thing that not a lot of people can do successfully. He has successfully done it, and now he can decide whether or not he wants to do it again. For that reason alone, I don't think that it is impossible.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? You could also make a small argument. Like, when you think about the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Cubs, century-long franchises. You're like, okay, well, they have a long history of the Willie Mays and the Babe Ruths, right? The Jackie Robinsons. They have all of the history of all the great players. Or do you want to go to a new franchise and become our best player of all time? Because, yeah, we have Roy Halladay, but I think you would, and rest in peace to the Doc, right? But, like, if you come here and you make your legacy here for the next 12, 13, 14 years, you're the face of the Blue Jays forever.
Yeah, you change Canada.
You
completely change
Canada, baseball in Canada.
Baseball.
Yep.
There will be an influx of children in Canada that take up baseball simply because you came here.
Yeah.
That's the impact that he provides, right? There's no other player that can have that. And I mean, again, when you're talking about value, that is part of it.
And like we mentioned before, Ohtani, he's expressed interest in a third country, Canada. You're coming from outside the United States, like you're saying, like, you are the face of baseball in front of the whole world. Like, when if people should see your face and think about you when they think about baseball. So if you're going to make your impact in other countries, why not start in Canada?
Yeah, 100%, dude. And I think for that reason alone, he might find it appealing. So that's everything to do with the free agents right now for the Toronto Blue Jays. We're probably actually missing a few guys because the rumors just literally keep flying like crazy. We're going to be having a video coming out tomorrow looking at the trades and everything like that. I do want to, you're hitting the music a bit prematurely because I did see a few questions in here that I did want to just quickly go over, saying, so Paulo coming in here and saying, because I know that we're not going to talk about this. Maybe we talk about this in the trade video, but he's asking about Kikuchi trading him for a 5-hole batter. And that is something that continues to come up is Yusei Kikuchi, if anybody was to get moved from that rotation, it would be him. It would be him.
Yes, it would be him. 1 year, yeah.
And I do think that if you're going to do it, a middle of the lineup hitter is the way to go.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a couple players actually that we are kind of linked to being trade partners with, a couple players. And they do want, in return, some sort of starting pitching. So we're going to talk about that in our podcast tomorrow. But absolutely, just to kind of like half answer your question, yes, that is exactly the route that we would go down.
Do you think that we're getting a little bit too much bias associated with Kikuchi? Because this is something like zooming out, right? Zooming out, if you're another team and you're looking at Yusei Kikuchi, I mean, it has been a rocky career.
Yeah,
it has been a rocky career, and he's really had one good year. I don't want to say great because it was a good year, right? It was a good year. You would be happy to have it in the rotation, but that's it. And for what it is, right? Like, would you be willing to actually trade away an asset to acquire this guy?
The only asset I'm trading away is a guy either on another 1-year deal, a guy who's older, a guy who maybe he's younger, but like has never shown any consistency. A guy, maybe a lot of money on him. Like guys who have some sort of negative trait, because that's going to be equal to the risk that you are trading for a 1 year of Yusei Kikuchi.
Yeah, and I also do think as well, a Yusei Kikuchi trade, it would not happen soon. It would not happen until potentially next year. Because right now, if I am that other team, I'm looking at Aaron Nola. I'm looking at Yamamoto. I'm looking at any of the other free agents that I can choose, right? I can make the contract. I can pick them up. It would not happen. A trade would not happen unless you're a squad that you missed out on your guy. You missed out on the few guys that you were eyeing, and you still need to fill that spot. That's when I could see something go down.
See, that'd be tough, though, also, if you're thinking about the Blue Jays, because if you lose out all the guys and then send away Kikuchi, well, then who's gonna be that spot in the rotation now?
I know.
So, like, you almost, as a Blue Jay, favorably, as a Blue Jay, you want to send them off, you want to sign someone and send them off, or send them off knowing, like, okay, we know for sure we're getting, like, one of these three guys.
Well, I think it's for that reason why you're hearing them come out and saying that, yeah, we are in on the Yamamotos and we are in on the pitching and everything like that. Because let's put it this way. If you do miss out on the bats that you're going for, the Solers and the Bellingers and the whatevers, if you miss out on that, Well, you need to pick up a pitcher now, so then you have the flexibility to make this.
You need assets,
right? Yeah, you just like we just need to acquire assets in any way possible, and that could be one of the ways to go about it. Shout out to James Norris right here from $10 Dono saying, to get Ohtani, we'll need to come up with something like MLS did with Beckham. I'm not entirely familiar with the deal that they had with Beckham.
But it's got to be a massive. It's got to be something dumb.
I know that there are, like, even football players ask for this sometimes. Patrick Mahomes might have it in his contract. I'm not sure about this. But sometimes the crazy guys, the big ones, they ask for a percent.
Of the organization?
Correct, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they ask for it rather than the actual, just a money, or whether it be a percent of the organization or a percent of the revenue or anything like that, right? And that, I mean, you got to imagine, like, if you're a team, that's not really something that you want to part with.
No.
So it becomes very, very valuable. And I do think maybe that's what you're referring to with Beckham. It could be. I don't know entirely what the deal is.
Could you imagine $500 million to Ohtani and 1% share of the Toronto Blue Jays?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
That's a lot of money still.
I don't know what that works out to be, but it's something stupid.
It's gotta be dumb.
Definitely more than a mill.
You're paying Rogers. You're paying you're paying everything that has to do with the Rogers Center. You're paying the players. You're paying the team. Oh, it's so much money. Yeah, it's gotta be an ungodly amount of money.
Exactly right. And I mean, you also now you're in forever.
Yeah, exactly.
You're in forever. So, interesting stuff there, folks. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below about everything that we had to talk about today, guys. Video coming out tomorrow, like 11 a.m. in the morning, most likely. So stay tuned for that, folks. The boys are going to be away for the weekend. Yeah. We do have videos coming out, but if something breaks, if something big happens, we're going to make it happen, guys.
We'll make it happen.
We're going to make it happen, folks.
Some sort of, like, maybe partially intoxicated video off our phone if something crazy happens.
For sure, folks. Thank you so much for watching, everybody.
And go, Jays, go!